has a YouTube account, but not everybody has a Twitch account.
Fair.
So we may or may not have a lot of engagement. If we do, cool. If we don't, cool. So
Sweet. So how does this? You're gonna like do prompts and ask questions, and then we'll with the engagement thing. How does this roll?
all right. So I hit live and we just talk.
Cool.
So that's pretty much it. So we are actually live right now.
Fabulous.
So but just basically, let's just go ahead and get a first introduction. I know we already chatted a little bit before the stream started, but just who you are basically.
Cool.
Where you from?
Yeah, so my name is Petey Manion. Manion is new. Just got married this past New Year's Eve. Still getting used to that introduction. But I did my undergraduate at the University of Georgia, graduated. Yeah, go dogs. A degree in anthropology. And then after that, I moved to Boston with my fiance, dog, and cat. And started working at Boston College as their fitness coordinator. So I started as a graduate assistant, and I am lucky enough now to be full-time. So I'm working, overseeing the personal training and small group training programs. And then I also oversee the fitness tenants, and I'm working on completing my master's in sports administration. I'll wrap that up this summer, actually. So
Cool.
I'm there.
So I know you've posted a lot of stuff with fitness, and I know you've posted a lot of stuff in regards to, healthy lifestyles and training. What got you involved in all that?
Ooh, that's a good question. So, actually, this goes way back. So my mom started working in a gym as the GM of the gym. Oh, shoot. I was probably 8, something like that. And it was a place that my sister and I went after school, and, we hung out there. And when I was old enough to work, like I started working there at the front desk, and I was always into sports, always. And fitness just kind of came with that.
Right.
It was something that was really good pair. And, I was watching my mom do it, and the gym was really cool. And it seemed like something, a different kind of career path, because I don't feel like I could sit at a desk all day or,
yeah, you're an active body.
Yeah, I got to get up and move around. And helping other people move around the right way is just a passion of mine, and I kind of found a passion in it. And when the sports dropped off, because really what I wanted to do my whole entire life was be a professional athlete. And I tried it with soccer, and injury kind of stopped me in my tracks in high school there. And then tried it again with boxing a little bit later, and again was kind of stopped by injury. So it wasn't meant to be.
So wait. So you don't box anymore?
So I can't get hit in the face.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
Right. Yeah. So it is still my greatest love in the sports world. And I do still actively practice and train. And when I spar, I could take body shots and things like that. But sort of the end of my amateur boxing career, I took an uppercut, which popped my jaw out, and essentially it sacrificed the integrity of the ligaments in my TMJ. So my jaw still kind of clicks around a little bit. I have some pain in the morning before I, start talking or eating or doing whatever throughout my day. And that's something that, when it first happened, doctors kind of said, I was like, hey, when can I get hit in the face again? And they're like, well, we don't recommend, but definitely when your jaw stops hurting, and it just has never really hit that point yet.
Yeah, it's never felt the same.
Yeah, it never felt the same. Never really felt good enough to take a shot on the chin, for sure.
Right. I have bad TMJ stuff, and I'm pretty sure it affects a lot of my ear. Like occasionally, a lot of our viewers will probably see me doing this like little blow sound. Like you'll see my face do that, but I'm trying to pop my ear because my jaw is misaligned with my eustachian tubes. It's just a pain in the ass, really much.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
Yeah,
Definitely feel that.
I used to fight as well, but not box. I never did hand-to-hand combat. I did more grappling.
Okay. Nice. Yeah.
Did you have any sort of routine when you were boxing? Like before like a startup fight? Like would you get into how would you get in the zone before a competition?
I really like listening to the Rolling Stones because I don't think it's a good idea to step into the ring angry. I think that boxing is a high-speed chess match, so it takes a lot of strategy. Once you figure out how to breathe, granted, like my first 4 fights, you don't know how to breathe, and you feel like you were underwater the whole time, and you're not really sure what happened. But when I started to figure out how to be able to breathe through fighting, and then I started to be able to see things, and then I started to be able to think, it really is a chess match. You're really trying to think about not the next punch you're going to throw, but the fourth punch that you're going to throw. Like, how are my first three punches going to set up an opening so that I can take advantage of that on my fourth punch?
You know, one of the challenging aspects that I thought was difficult when I was actually practicing hand-to-hand combat was not blinking. Like,
yeah,
I think people take that aspect for granted a lot.
Oh, yeah.
When you're fighting, most people just think that you're just going to haul ass and you're just going to go in swinging. But when a punch comes at you, your initial reaction is to flinch or close your eyes, dodge, or do something. I never really
back so fast. If you don't, I remember, especially when I was like in the peak of being competitive, I'd work defense on a Friday, take the weekend off, come back on Monday, and like be blinky in the ring again. Like, it comes back so fast because your body's like, I don't want this. Nobody like me. So that's like your natural tendency. So you're kind of fighting that the whole time. You're forcing your body to do the fight instead of flight thing. And in most situations in the boxing ring, your body does not naturally want to fight.
That, I kid you not, was the most challenging aspect.
Oh, yeah.
I remember fighting like a friend of mine. He's actually in the chat right now. Kayla, if you remember this. Hey, guys, everybody tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. This is Petey. Met her at UGA. We went to college together. Had a history class, actually.
Yes.
It's a little off topic, but I fought my friend Kayla. And we just thought, hey, man, you just want to practice boxing? We're like, sure, why not? So we put on boxing gloves, and, man, it was the stupidest thing we ever done. No professional supervision, nothing, no practice, no training, no nothing. Man. One of us ended up with a black eye. I'm not going to name who, but it wasn't me. Yeah. But it was fun. Like, definitely fighting like in those situations were fun. Mm-hmm. Have you ever?
I mean, it's all fun, and I recognize how crazy that sounds. And I will also go ahead and say I do believe that you have to have a certain amount of crazy to go far in boxing.
Yeah.
And I recognize the crazy in myself. You know, I was a soccer goalkeeper and then a boxer, so it was kind of always there. Right. Definitely a little bit of a nut, and that's what you need to step in the ring and get hit in the face. And I have people ask me occasionally, like, do you like getting hit in the face? And I'm like, no, nobody likes that. But but landing a shot on another person is such a euphoric, like, successful feeling that it kind of overrides the whole getting punched bit.
Yeah, grappling and submitting people, getting them to tap out in unusual ways. I think that's the most satisfying, especially when the person's bigger than you. And you're like, I obviously know you're stronger than me, but I have better technique. I know what I'm doing. So I can just kind of finesse them into submitting. So it's really nice.
Jiu-jitsu's made for the smaller man. So good to go. I did a little bit of jiu-jitsu.
I'm a smaller man.
That's not what I meant.
I'm kidding.
And that's something that
what's
I
up,
used, 'cause I was smaller than everybody like I practiced with, and I did jiu-jitsu for a little while. My problem with jiu-jitsu is my ego will not let me tap, and like that's a problem. Like I just had no recognition. The one competition that I did really messed up my elbow because I got put in an arm bar, and I was like, whatever, like I'm just gonna sit here, and got the elbow cranked pretty bad. But
my nickname when I was taking classes was Scorpion because of how much I would go, like I would let my limbs go and people wouldn't tap me out, and it was more of a like what you were saying, like an ego thing. It was probably the stupidest thing. I was like 16 at the time. And I didn't want to submit. So I completely understand.
Yeah. And now I look back on it and I'm like, that's just a great way to mess up your elbow for all of time.
Oh, for sure.
But in the moment, I'm like, nope, not gonna tap. You can't beat me. Like,
have you ever whooped someone's ass? Like, not like I'm talking street fight. Like, have you ever just used your boxing skills to whoop someone's ass?
Not outside of the ring. There is one story I do like to think about sometimes because it makes me chuckle. Occasionally there would be a guy that would come in the gym and, they'd walk in, no experience whatsoever, and be like, I'm your next champion. And, the competitive team would be like, yeah, okay. And a lot of the times they would get put in the ring with me first. And occasionally I'd get a dude that would be a little bit nervous to hit me because I'm a girl and all this stuff. And then I'd basically be like, look, dude, I signed up for this. I've got gloves on. I'm standing in front of you. Let's roll. But there was one guy that just refused to do it. He was like, I'm not going to hit you. You're a girl. I'm not doing this. And that probably makes me more mad than anything else. Like, I've signed up for this. I've volunteered for this. Like,
Hit
you're
me!
not making me better. Right. You're not making me better by not hitting me. And that was one time where, you know, my coach was kind of like, yeah, you can hit her. And he was like, no, I'm not doing it. And my coach kind of gave me a little nod and I was like, okay, cool. And just kind of ran a clinic on this dude. And it was, you know, it was a valuable lesson for him because finally he put his hands up and started hitting back. And I was like, dude, you can't look at me as a female in the ring if we're in a sparring situation. You got to look at me as another athlete in the ring.
Right.
You have to give me the respect that any other athlete earns when they step into that ring. And if I'm going to respect you enough to put myself at harm by fighting somebody with no experience, because that is putting myself at harm.
Right.
When they get in there and throw wild haymakers and, you know, they're a little bit heavier than me and things like that, like something could go wrong very quickly. So if I'm going to give them enough respect to be able to hop into the ring with them, they need to be able to do the same thing for me.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's kind of my.
Well, that kind of
like,
leads me into our next, I guess, my next question. But before I ask that, one of our viewers, Jordan, asked, Petey, have you seen the movie Fighting with Family? It's such a great movie. Obviously, it's not the same fighting style, though.
I've not seen Fighting with Family. I wonder what fighting style that
And
is.
Clinic, thank you for the shout out, bud. I really appreciate you dropping by. Oh, you know what? I didn't even give you the link for the chat so you could see everybody. I should have probably done that.
Oh, I would love to see everybody. How
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. I should.
No, you're good.
let me get this rolled up. I'm so sorry, chat. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna send you the YouTube link because again, that's where I'm trying to push our channel.
Do I just open it up in another type deal?
Yeah. That should work.
Okay.
Push our channel. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. Oh shit. Guys, 1 second. I'm so sorry. This is my fault. There you go. I just sent it to you. Okay. All right. Now I can exit out of this. Okay, cool. Okay, we're back. Watching off YouTube right now. No, Jordan, I can see. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so back on topic. You got it pulled up?
Yes, sorry, the sound that was going both ways kind of messed me up, but I'm with it now.
All right, cool.
I got it all figured out.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for everybody making the switch over to YouTube. I really appreciate that. I want to make sure that we're still accommodating the Twitch population while moving over to YouTube. I know that's going to be a weird transition, but again, I just want to broaden our viewership. It's not really about the monetization right now. It's about, you know, the range of folks that we can hit. But anyways, back on topic, going back to the female fighter versus a male fighter, do you think that, because I know this might be a challenging question, but there's been this kind of movement with transgender athletes in the athletics, especially combat sport, and there's been like a lot of controversy around that.
Yeah.
Do you think that there are any advantages or disadvantages that men or women have over each other?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, you know, you can't really argue against scientifically. And then also just based on experience, fighting dudes or sparring dudes, because, you know, I wouldn't be able to officially fight between male and female. But sparring guys that were my same weight, like, they hit so much harder.
Really?
Than any other woman my same weight. So it was something that we kind of had to adjust. Like, if I was looking for a male sparring partner, I'd have to look for somebody in a little bit lower weight class, or they would have to be experienced enough to be able to pull their punches.
Right.
On the topic of transgender fighting, I think this is going to be very interesting because this is happening across all sports, and I definitely think it's something that we should embrace. But I do think that we have to have some sort of regulation, and I think from what I understand, like the NCAA regulation is if you are transitioning from male to female, you have to be on, and I don't know the specific definition,
Right.
some sort of
Hormone
transit
treatment.
hormone,
Yeah.
right, for a year before you can transition into that sport. And I don't know that that's a perfect regulation, but I think it's a really good start.
Right.
I
I
think it is important to recognize that there are physiological differences between men and women, and I'm totally supportive of the transgender movement, but we do have to recognize that there is a transitional piece there, and we have to be able to support that and incorporate that to keep all of the athletes safe. Whether it be the transgender athlete or the athlete that they're fighting, especially when you're considering competitive sports.
right.
Or, I'm sorry, not competitive sports, combat sports, because it is just, I mean, they're brutal at their nature, and you have to do things that provide some sort of protection, despite the fact that it's a brutal sport.
See, I'm in agreement with you. I do think that there is an advantage that men have over women based off of physical traits, just genetically.
Mm-hmm.
So I know this is a touchy subject.
Yeah.
So I want to be as careful with my words as possible while telling the truth. So in terms of the whole topic, I just don't see why we can't just have like a co-ed and just kind of hold no bars against anybody and just have at it, man.
Yeah.
Just throw them all in the ring.
Yeah, and I definitely see the merit in that. But again, I'll go back to, when I was fighting 126. That wasn't my lightest weight class, but it was one of my lighter ones. Fighting 126, sparring with a 126-pound guy. I mean, dude hits hard.
Yeah.
And it's just, there is a difference there. And there's a difference in speed too. No matter how much I train, no matter how hard I train, there's just a little bit of an edge in both speed and power that a man's going to have. And that is, as a super feminist, that's super hard for me to admit. But it's true.
Do you think that advantage is mitigated through transitioning?
I don't know, because I haven't done a whole lot of research on like the specifics of the transition. So I don't know that I can really speak on that, because I'd want to know a lot more about the science behind it.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know that's a touchy subject and a lot of people have questions about that, but we can kind of move on from that. I just wanted to kind of ask that, since you're an athlete and you've had the opposite perspective.
It is super interesting. I think it's going to be really telling to start to figure out how like these institutions are going to, like, they're going to have to set up some sort of regulation structure around that. So I'll be interested to see what that looks like and if that looks different for each sport, because I would imagine it would. I would imagine, each sanctioning body, each organization is going to have a different perspective, and that's going to create different regulations. So I'm curious to see, honestly, I'm kind of curious to see which sport does it best.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to come out with a different idea. And I think we will find one that satisfies as many parties as possible. I don't believe that everybody in the situation is going to be satisfied, because that's just not how situations work. But I think it's going to be interesting.
Did you ever experience anybody doping, like any females doping while you were, boxing?
Not confirmed. There was one
speculated.
Or two. Yeah, there was one or two that I was like, dude, you just hit way too hard. You just hit way too hard. I took a solar plexus shot, so like right here in the gut, an uppercut, from one girl at some point, and I really could not take a deep breath for like 2.5 weeks. Like it was, and it was a great shot to be sure, but there was some power behind that I wasn't really, I wasn't really sure where that came from. And unfortunately, that is a rampant problem. And unfortunately, it takes quite a bit of financial support to be able to regulate and test and do all these things. So I think that the testing is there for stuff like that. I just don't think the testing can be as widespread as the issue is. And until the testing can come to the same level as the level that the issue is, that's really when we're going to see, the doping kind of come out of competition. But I mean, everybody's gonna try and dope in some way at some point.
Well,
Not everybody, but I think it's always gonna be
I'm
a problem in athletics because there's always gonna be a population out there that just wants an advantage, no matter what they have to do, no matter what they get into, no matter what the consequences are.
I'm more of a let people dope kind of thing, just so we can
Oh,
test
really?
limits. Yeah, I
Interesting.
want people to like. I want to see how far we can push the human body. You know,
That's fair.
like I
But
want to
then-
see how far this guy over
Yeah.
here on methamphetamines can go. Not promoting it. I'm not
but then
promoting
have a
it.
different, have a different category.
Right, right.
Have the non-doping sports and then have the doping sports, like if we want to see that, which I agree with you, I think that would be fascinating to see. Let's separate it out, and again, that's for the protection of the athletes. If you're going to engage in a practice like doping, you're probably going to engage in some other not so safe methods.
Right.
So let's keep the athletes that are more concerned with the care of their bodies and the safety of their bodies separate from the athletes that are like, yeah, let's do whatever. Let's go. Like, I think you have to separate those at some point.
Dylan is a pro dope. Yes, I am. Jordan asks, have you gotten any injuries while boxing?
Yeah. So definitely the jaw.
The TMJ, yeah.
Yeah, the TMJ. I'm trying to think if nothing else super major. I had biceps tendonitis at some point. Really easy to get overuse injuries.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I really walked away from a fight with a black eye. Definitely got my nose bloodied in sparring quite a bit. I'm looking at my husband for confirmation here. It gets fuzzy. The solar plexus was rough. The solar plexus, yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's what I was just talking about with there had to have been something else behind that shot because she was
doping.
She was a monster.
She was doping.
And yeah, I mean, heck of a fight.
So
Absolutely.
do you ever, so one thing I've always been curious about when you're going into like a fighting match, do you ever take pre-workout? Like,
ooh, this is a good question. So here's my thing with pre-workout. I have a little bit of soapbox about it being like
okay, all right, yeah. No, I'm really curious because I was thinking like, shoot, caffeine jolts me. Caffeine gets me energy. Why would I not take a pre-workout before I went into a fight?
Right, and caffeine is definitely an ergogenic aid. I will tell you that the most effective dose of caffeine to provide that ergogenic aid is found in a cup of coffee. Pre-workout, any type of pre-workout, from an energy drink to like a synthesized pre-workout powder, not only is it going to be way too much caffeine, which is going to push you past the ergogenic aid stage, it is going to put you into twitchy, jittery, can't keep your thoughts together, like all of those things, higher heart rate, which you definitely don't want walking into a boxing match because you're going to get that way in the middle of a boxing match.
Right.
So I think it just pushes too far past the amount of caffeine that you really need to be effective. And then they are so unregulated. There is so much crap in pre-workout that nobody has to say anything about. They don't have to put on their ingredient label. They don't have to explain. They don't have to report. So there's stuff that, some athletes that get drug tested, like in the NCAA, they'll take, a pre-workout drink or whatever and think it's totally fine and end up failing a drug test because of things that they didn't know were in the pre-workout drink. So yes, caffeine is an ergogenic aid. Definitely use that for boxing prep, but I just did it with a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I also played a little bit with sodium bicarbonate. It's a baking soda is an ergogenic aid.
Okay.
If you use it correctly. So it was something like, I think I did like a teaspoon and a half of baking soda and a glass of water like 2 hours before the fight. And what that does is it's basically a buffer for your cells. So it kind of keeps them oxygenated and keeps the fatigue away just a little bit longer.
So should I mix baking soda into my coffee?
Well, I will warn you, there's a gastrointestinal issue. So some people's stomachs can handle it, and for some people, it's gonna shoot straight through you and take everything inside you with it. So be aware.
Okay.
Probably don't try that out for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's some dangers in that as well. But super interesting to see. I mean, and that's stuff that wasn't even considered. Like no caffeine and the sodium bicarbonate and things like that, not considered doping. considered ergogenic aid, but still something that you're using to try and get just a little bit of an edge over somebody.
Oh, what's the thing that you snap when you're at the gym and you sniff it, like kind of like crack, but it's like nitric.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen people do that.
Hey, what's up, Drew? Thanks for tuning in, bud. Baking soda. I got baking soda.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. Like just baking soda in a glass of water is disgusting. Like you kind of have to hold your nose and yep. Anyway.
Okay. But what's the thing that? Gosh, I've seen people do it. Like I've seen people like break it, and it's like ammonia. Not ammonia. Probably not. No.
Probably not that.
Yeah,
but
probably not
you're
that.
not far off base.
But do you ever see people doing that before they go into a fight? It's supposed to like relax your muscles a little bit and help with fatigue.
Not before fights. I've seen that before, like a powerlifting event, something like that, just to get a little bit extra. But I don't typically see that in a fight, and I don't know if that's something that's like happening in a locker room pre-fight, because I could definitely see a fighter thinking that's a good idea. Again, I like to be pretty in control of my mentality in the ring, which is hard to do,
right,
without any of that stuff, So I like to be more in control so I can think, so I can strategize, so I can know like how I'm doing through the fight. Like I think people that do stuff like that go berserk round number one and then they gas out. So I think that that's kind of something that you have to play around with. If you're going to do something like that and go completely berserk in round one, you better get a knockout because you're not going to make it 2, 3, 4, whatever. You're just not. So
Jordan asks, what got you into boxing?
I was soccer goalkeeper for a long time. Ended up not being able to do that anymore after I broke my lower back for the second time. They told me that I couldn't dive on the ground anymore. So when I got to college, I was looking for something that would fill that void. And the intensity behind goalkeeping is pretty up there. So definitely was looking for something equally as intense, if not more. And I found boxing, found this gym in Athens and absolutely fell in love with it from day one. I started at Kepner Boxing, and I just loved it. I loved it. So my first fight ended up being about 6 months after I started training. And I really like to train.
Yeah.
I really like to compete. I really like the intensity, and it kind of put all those things in one basket for me.
There's something about whooping someone's ass that just makes you feel good.
Yeah. And especially because it takes so long to get to that point. The first time you like kind of get the better of somebody, you're like, oh my God, this is what I was training. Okay, I get it now. Like,
it feels good.
I get it now.
I just whooped their ass.
I made a mistake one fight. So when you're fighting somebody, you're supposed to look at their chest. And it kind of lets you know like what shot's coming next. It gives you a little bit of a hint. But I also found another reason for that. In the first fight that I ended up knocking somebody down, I gave her 2 standing 8 counts. And so if you give somebody 3 standing 8 counts in a round or 4 in a fight, the fight's over. So 2 standing 8 counts down. I was going for the third one, knew I had it, and looked at her in the face, and she was terrified. And there was
sign
like
of fear.
Yeah, and there was a human moment in me where I was like, "Oh, that sucks," and I hesitated for a second, and that was the round. That was it. That was the end of the fight. And I'm still so mad at myself because I'm like, man, just look at her chest. Like you could have done it. That could have been a knockout. And I just
wait. Did you lose?
No, I didn't lose. I won the fight.
Okay.
But I could have had a knockout. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you need that knockout under your belt.
On your record.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it because she looked scared, and I felt bad for her for a second.
Oh, poor girl.
Mistake.
Yeah, you put the fear of God into her.
But I've also had the fear of God been put into me.
Yep.
I've definitely gotten my butt handed to me multiple times, and it's not super fun. So I think there was a part of me that related to her a little bit there, and I was like, yeah, I know how that feels, and that sucks.
Yeah, I fought a couple people, not fist fight, but I don't know if you ever heard of NAGA.
Yeah.
North American Grappling Association.
Yeah, that was the one jiu-jitsu tournament that I did. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did that one. I did that one for a couple years. I won most of them, but when I would go in, you'd get this like adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, this is nice.
Yeah.
This
awesome.
is real nice.
Yeah.
I faced a lot of kids that didn't really know what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And this one kid went on me gosh, what's the wrestler move where they go for your legs?
Mm-hmm.
So they go for the takedown for your legs.
Right.
And so I just put him in a guillotine, and he was done in 30 seconds.
Yep.
Done.
Rookie mistake.
I know, especially in grappling matches like that.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? He probably learned. He was probably super embarrassed, and he never made that mistake again. Like that's.
But it was such a satisfying feeling, and I love telling that story.
Yeah.
That's why I'm telling it here.
Shameless plug.
Yes. Drew asks, what are your thoughts on Mayweather?
I saw that. All right. Let me see here. Josh just looked at me like, are you about to talk about Mayweather right now? Mayweather is unarguably the best defensive boxer of all time. Unarguably. Dude's got the best defense and the best ring awareness of anybody out there. And you can see that in, I think it was it Andre Ward who had that interview? Where he was talking about fighting against Mayweather, and he was like, dude, it's wild. He is looking at you. He's looking at your corner. He's looking at the clock. He knows exactly how much time is left. He knows exactly how many punches he's hit. He knows exactly how many times he's gotten hit, which is probably slim to none. Like, he is so aware. His boxing intelligence is just so high. And people consider him to be a boring fighter because of how defensive he is. Like, he's just not going to get hit. Which I really appreciate, because he kind of came in and he was like, no, I know how to do this sport. I'm going to be dominant, and I'm not going to take a lot of damage because I want to live a long time. And he did fantastic at that plan. So I'm Team Mayweather. I'm not going to talk about him outside of the ring, but inside of the ring.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was sensing a butt there for a second.
Yeah. Your boy is super talented inside the ring, and I don't think that can be denied. Now, again, outside of the ring, whole different story, but inside of the ring, he's a phenomenal boxer.
So do you think he'd transfer that over to the UFC? Because I know, like, Conor
Absolutely.
McGregor. No. Okay,
No.
so you think he'd get his ass whooped in an
Yes.
octagon match?
Yes, and man, and I had so many conversations about that fight when I was leading up the Mayweather-McGregor fight. For the longest time, I was like, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna support this. And then too many people asked me about it. I was like, fine, I'll watch it. And Mayweather did exactly what he wanted to that whole entire fight. McGregor didn't know the rules, so he didn't come in prepared 100% of the way, which I don't know how you do that as an athlete, walk into a sport and just assume the rules. But he just, he's hitting Mayweather on the back of the head, and that's illegal in boxing. You can't do it. And there's really no, I think McGregor posted like a picture on Instagram, like of him hitting Mayweather in the back of the head and said some comment about who even knows, trashing Mayweather. And I think that made him look really bad, because that's illegal. That's an illegal shot in boxing. And you're just putting on display for all of your followers that you don't actually understand the rules of the sport. But that being said, going the other way, UFC is brutal. It just is. You can use so many more weapons between the elbows and being able to hit on the back of the head and the knees and the kicks. And I can't say I'd ever want to take a shin to the teeth. That sounds miserable. And I just think that it would be, I think that Mayweather is too old and too cemented into boxing style to be able to make a transition to MMA in enough time to be able to not get just totally mopped up by McGregor.
Right.
Honestly. Yeah.
Did you ever consider the UFC, like when you were boxing?
Oh, absolutely. I grew up watching Ronda Rousey. I wanted to be her.
So
but the broken back thing got in the way. Can't get slammed on the ground. You
got broken back?
Yeah. So I broke my lower back twice. L4 and L5. There were cracks up the side. It's called a Fars fracture. And I did it the first time when I was 14 doing a max squat. I wasn't taught proper form. So broke it the first time there, was able to completely recover from it, came back, broke it again. In my junior year during a goalkeeping training, we were training aerial dives with a medicine ball, and I went to save the medicine ball and kind of arched my back and did the exact same break. And at that point, basically what doctor said was, yeah, you can't do like roller coasters, trampoline, get thrown on the ground, goalkeeping, because the jarring motion, like if my two vertebrae were like this, the jarring motion side to side, I was at a really high risk of paralysis from the waist down. Excuse me. So, yes, considered UFC. Couldn't do it because of the back.
Yeah, my mom had lower back surgery. Like, her spine collapsed in on itself, and her discs, they were all fucked up. So I remember her going through surgery and being like basically in bed for what was it, like 2 months?
Yeah.
Like she couldn't move.
Yeah, because all your movement comes from your lower back.
Yeah.
All of it. You can't do anything without your lower back.
Yeah, I remember my aunt had to come down. Like, it was bad. Like, she was giving my mom baths and everything. Luckily, my mom made a full recovery. She's able to walk.
Yep.
She's able to do everything now. But, shit, that was scary.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's scary when you have those kinds of injuries.
Yeah, absolutely. Realize your mortality.
Yeah. You know, sometime. Kaylor. That's how he would say it, too. You know, sometime. Jordan, yeah.
Nice meeting you, Jordan.
I have to go to dinner. It was nice meeting you, PD. Well, thank you, Jordan, for checking out the stream, and thank you again for following us on YouTube. Oh my gosh, I'm still trying to make this transition. Bro, what's this 60 FPS? Do you see it? Is it working? Is it good on my screen?
I don't know what 60 FPS means.
Frames per second.
Ah.
It's so the quality of the stream gets better the higher the frames. So,
Gotcha.
You ever play video games?
A little bit, not enough to be like an expert.
Okay. So if you watch,
I mostly play like Skyrim because I get to be the elf that throws fire.
Okay, Skyrim's a good game.
Skyrim? Yeah.
Skyrim's a good game. So Skyrim has a lot of graphics to load in.
Yeah.
So that'll mean that the frames will kind of run a little bit lower,
Okay.
which means that when you move or transition, it'll be a little bit choppy.
Okay, got it.
So the higher the frames, the less choppy it'll be.
Gotcha.
So you'll
And
be
is
able
that
to see my
thing-
movement smoothly.
Gotcha.
So I've managed to finally figure out how to upgrade and figure out how to how to get smooth frames. I can't handle it on your side because that all comes from your connection. But
Which is probably not great.
yours is actually doing really well, knock on wood.
Good.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I haven't had any trouble with yours. Usually when I have a guest on the other side, there's at least their video freezes up. So knock on wood, we're not freezing today, so we're doing good.
I like it.
Kaylor said, slap my nuts on your forehead, 240 FPS. Killing me, Kaylor, killing me. Yeah, so let's get back to personal training then.
Yeah.
Personal training. What advice do you have on losing fat? Because I need some advice on my
Honestly, don't skimp on eating protein.
Don't skimp on eating protein. Okay.
Right. Protein is going to be your most important macronutrient when you're wanting to lose fat.
Right.
Because it is going to maintain your muscular structure.
Right.
Because what you don't want to do when you're losing weight is lose fat and muscle at the same time. And a lot of the times when people try and lose weight through diet cuts or extreme working out or whatever, and I don't think you have to go to extremes to lose weight, but most people tend to, they also cut down on the protein and then their body just starts to consume its own muscle.
Right.
Biggest piece of advice in a weight loss journey is do not forget about the protein. Make sure that you're getting enough of it because that's what's going to maintain not only your muscular structure, but it's also going to maintain your immune function. Because protein plays a really big role in immunoglobulins throughout your body. And you really want that, especially because if you're trying to change your body composition, you're already going to be forcing your body to do a lot of changes of its own environment. So it's going to have to find a new homeostasis. So that makes it a little bit more vulnerable to getting sick. So protein, huge deal.
Right.
Just to make sure,
I've
they're
made
not
this
gonna
transition.
stuff.
I've made this transition from going because I was at this point to where I wasn't like fat, but I was skinny. So I was like in the skinny fat stage.
Yeah.
And I really didn't have a lot of muscle definition, but I started doing a little bit more research and learning that I really want to try to intake a little bit more calories, especially with protein.
Yep.
So I've been following that procedure and kind of been able to like body recomp myself.
Nice.
But one of the challenges was losing fat and building muscle at the same time.
Yes.
And when you're trying to do that, it's really hard because you want to burn as much calories as you can to kind of burn down that fat, but it's kind of counterintuitive because you also want to put in more calories to build the muscle to burn the fat off because your resting heart rate and everything. There's some body mechanics going into it that I don't really fully understand. But Yeah, I've managed to make the transition a little bit better. So I've
Yeah. Yep. Lift heavy, eat protein.
Yep.
That's
Lift heavy,
good.
eat protein.
And rest, especially when you're lifting heavy. That's the mistake I see so many people make. When you're lifting really heavy, you need like 48 to 72 hours of recovery to make sure that, especially if you're doing like a full body workout. So like a lot of the lifting workouts I do are full body. I'm hitting it all in one day. And
so you're telling me to go to the gym at like 2 times a week?
I'm telling you to go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week if you're lifting heavy.
Okay. Because I try and lift. Not trying to flex on anybody, but I try and lift heavy every day. But whatever I'm lifting heavy is the body part. So I'll give that body part 48 or 72 hours to rest.
And that's great. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. If you're doing a split like that,
so that's fine.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. I would recommend more, and this is just, it comes down to personal style. I'm a functional mover, so I definitely believe in less of the split and more of the lift heavy with as many like multi-joint movements as you can.
So you're a CrossFitter?
Oh no.
No. Okay.
No.
You look like you look like you got some issues with CrossFit. Shit. Okay.
Here's the thing. CrossFit itself, like the workout and the theory behind it, fantastic. The problem with CrossFit is a lot of times well-qualified, good CrossFit coaches make CrossFit effective, safe, and awesome. The problem is finding those well-qualified, really good coaches. Like, they're not your common CrossFit coach. So I think a lot of the problem, because a lot of the CrossFit movements are very, very difficult, and they take a foundation in athleticism. And if you're somebody that doesn't have a foundation in athleticism and you don't end up with a good coach, you are going to get injured. And that's a problem I have with CrossFit.
Okay, I'm about to go on a rant real quick because
go for it.
Oh my gosh, trainers.
Mm-hmm.
Trainers. Okay,
mm-hmm.
You're obviously really fit and you know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot stand going to the gym and seeing a trainer that is I shouldn't say overweight, but less fit than me. Like,
fair.
Or less fit than the people he's training or her. I that blows my mind, bro. If you're going to train me, you have to be more fit than me.
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to sit here and let you train me if you're not more fit than me. All right, cool.
Yeah.
You probably can lead me to the treasure that you cannot possess. That's fine. But oh my gosh, that
they might.
Me.
Like, granted, that's something that I kind of flip back and forth on.
Okay.
Because
Educate me.
I definitely get that. Like, somebody who is very clearly out of shape, I feel like is a bad representation as a trainer, because how are you going to give like healthy lifestyle recommendations to somebody when you yourself are not following them? Now, I think it's a different story if you have somebody that's working really hard to follow those healthy lifestyle recommendations, and it's just they have a body type that's not conducive to that, because that's the thing. Well,
that's understandable. You know, I understand that there are those rare cases, you know, that the people that are genetically predispositioned to having those kind of body types. That's fine. And I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about clearly unfit trainers that for some reason want to train me and you ain't as fit as me. No, that ain't happening.
Yeah, fair. Totally fair.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves, man.
I get that.
I don't know why. It just irritates me.
I get that. And I'm definitely, every trainer has their own style. I'm one where I very much like to practice what I preach, and, I want to show a good example, and, but it's dependent on my goals as well. And I also recognize that I've got some things where I would like to tell my clients to do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
And over exercise a little bit. And I think that, I know that comes from the boxing where I just over exercised and underate all the time.
Right.
So I was really, really way too small when I was boxing. I didn't even have enough body fat on me to really maintain a lot of like my normal body functions. So I think there's some of that too. I think it's really easy as a trainer in the fitness industry to get wrapped up in some really disordered thinking and some really disordered actions. So I think that trainers sometimes have a really hard time like separating themselves from that.
Right.
Understanding what true holistic health means and how they can represent that so that they can show that to their clients.
Okay, let me clarify something then. I am 100% okay with a trainer being able to do everything that they're preaching or they're trying to train on, but their body type doesn't really fit the mold. That's fine. Not a big deal. If you're like, if you're actually more fit than me, like cardio wise, weight wise, in every aspect, but you just don't have the body type, like that's fine. That's not a big deal. Like I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's so challenging to me to accept seeing like a trainer training like a group of people, but he or she can't do the exercises himself.
Yeah, that's tough because how are you going to ask? And, you know, I would never ask a client to do something that I am not able to go and demo.
Right.
Because I think that becomes a safety issue at that point. You never know what kind of learner somebody is, and you need to throw all of the things out there. You need to throw auditory cues out there. You need to throw visual cues out there. You need to throw kinesthetic cues out there. And I don't know that you could really hit all of those without being able to properly demonstrate the movement.
Right.
So I would agree with that. I think that you have to, if you're going to expect somebody to do something, you have to be able to show them how to do it.
So how do you encourage new people that are just getting into the gym to really, like, you know, keep motivated or to keep going at it? Like, how do you encourage someone as a personal trainer?
Find something you like. The gym should not be a miserable experience. It should be a celebration of the things that you can do, and a place of bettering yourself in the way that you feel best doing that. So find something you like. You know, people will go into the gym and, you know, they're first time gym goers and they're very limited in what they think they should be doing. Like, I should get on the treadmill and run for an hour, and that's going to be miserable. And I'm going to tell you right now, I haven't run on a treadmill in a very, very long time because it makes me miserable. It makes me miserable. And I think that a lot of people get turned off of the gym because they go in and they do the things that they hear about that just make them miserable. And they've got this whole, like, just grind through it mentality, and that's all well and good, but like that's not how you create a sustainable habit. And you want fitness to be a sustainable habit, because what fitness really is allowing you to do all of the things that you want to do in life.
Right.
So if I'm going to go into the gym and torture myself doing something that I don't want to do, and then come home and be angry about it, and then be hurting the next day because I've tortured myself doing the thing that, you know, I don't want to do, like that's not going to be a way to create and reinforce a habit.
Right.
So, you know, going into the gym and finding something like, shoot, somebody tried to teach me how to play racquetball the other day and I sucked at it, but it was really, really fun and really a whole lot of cardio. So, you know, if you're somebody that knows you need to do a little bit more cardio, but you absolutely hate all the machines, like go find a squash court, like try that out, see if you like it. Go take a group fitness class, like try out Zumba, try out, you know, a HIIT class, try out spin. Try out all the things, figure out what you like and what you don't. And when you find the things that you like, start doing those and figure out what pairs well with them.
Oh my gosh. Zumba. Oh my goodness. I'm not even kidding you. I've seen it's mainly at the gym that I go to. It's mainly a lot of older women, but I kid you not, all those women could whoop my ass in a cardio match. Yeah, that shit is crazy.
It is crazy.
My wife keeps trying to get me to do all these HIIT workouts with her, and I'm terrified. Like I don't want to do it because I know I'm gonna suck and I'm gonna be out of breath.
I love HIIT workouts.
I hate them,
and I get that. I totally get that. Like that's I totally get that.
That's why I stay away from cardio.
Fair, 100% fair. I mean, listen, the boxing thing is what I consider to be cardio. Like, I'll go in and hit a heavy bag for 2 hours straight, but don't put me on a treadmill for 10 minutes. Don't do it.
I think that's one of my biggest issues. You made a good point earlier about just trying something in the gym that you see, or just because it's all you know and it's all you see. I think that's why I kind of hate Instagram a little bit, because of the Instagram fitness that's going on.
Oh, Instagram fitness.
Yeah.
I actually made a Facebook post about this the other day because I was really frustrated with it.
I think that's the one I saw. I think that's the one that I saw. I was like, oh wait, I could, Petey, she would be a great guest.
Was it the one about fitness models should have to disclose what they do?
Yes, that was it. That was it.
Yeah, like that's because a lot of the fitness models you see that are absolutely shredded and can do these incredible things, and like, they're advertising this recovery tool that's going to push you into the next level. Like that, no, that's not what pushed them into the next level. Like I said on Facebook, they train for 6 hours a day, they sleep
Yeah.
for 12 hours a night, they drink 18 gallons of water and arm wrestle bears for fun, and like they do all this crazy stuff. And actually the advertisement that I saw that kind of got me on that track was, it was an advertisement for a recovery tool, and I don't remember which one it was, but the models in the advertisement were the two top women of the CrossFit Games. It is their profession to do that.
Yeah,
like they are paid to do it. They have right. They have dietitians. They have multiple trainers. They have recovery sessions. They have a specific plan, and that's all they do. That's what they're paid to do. So I think it is dishonest of the fitness industry, and I think it perpetrates some disordered thinking to put out images like that and say, "Oh, this is super achievable," because it's not.
Yeah, that's my biggest problem. Especially dealing with like Hollywood and how it portrays like male models, or not male models, but male actors or female actresses.
Yep.
It's like, oh, you could have Chris Hemsworth's body if you just did this. Like, bitch, I don't have $1 million to have a personal chef.
And Chris Hemsworth will come out and say, nah, dude,
Yeah.
I train for 8 hours a day. And
Exactly.
I'm
it's not my profession to look
15
good.
pounds back when I didn't do this movie because I was miserable and eating, a stick of celery and a carrot and a chicken breast every day. Like, that's it. Like,
I could not sustain on that even if I wanted to.
No, and they're getting paid $1 gazillion to do that for a movie. If you paid me $1 gazillion, I'd probably do something like that too. Like that, but
yeah, I'd look hella good if I was in Hollywood, bro.
Right, exactly. With all of those resources and all of that capital and like everything else that they have at their disposal, the regular person is just nowhere close to be able to having that kind of resource and support.
Yeah, I ain't ugly. I'm just poor. That's about it.
Right.
I'm just broke,
exactly.
bro. I'm broke.
Yes. Help me, I'm poor.
I know. That's why it's challenging seeing all the Instagram people and seeing everybody, it's like this. I got to stay off Instagram because I feel like it's, okay.
That was my issue with Peloton. I tried out my first like Peloton class, and it was a great class, great workout. The girl leading the workout had like 18 abs and kept talking about how she was like a professional track athlete. And I was like, wow, how horrible is this? That like you cannot do Peloton. You can do Peloton as much as you want to do Peloton. You can't do it enough to look like that.
Right.
So why is she talking about her professional track career?
Some people are just genetically gifted.
That too.
Fair.
Genetics plays a huge role. I cut all the way down to 118 pounds for boxing. And I walk at 145. So that was an incredible amount of weight for me to shed off. And I still did not have visible abs. Like I don't have the genes for it. So like sometimes you just don't. And it doesn't matter what you do. You're just not gonna, like, that's not what your genes are telling your body, what your genes are telling your body to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, gosh. Oh, I love it. Again, I love and hate Instagram. And I hate the fact that I have to create an Instagram. And I created one mainly for this podcast, so that way I could advertise and post short 1-minute clips to accommodate people's like 1-minute attention spans.
Right.
Because nobody's gonna take the time out of the day and be like, ooh, an hour podcast. Ooh, let me just see what I don't know these people. I'm just gonna see what it is.
Right.
No one's gonna do any of that.
Yeah.
So I gotta capture their attention with, a minute video, like a short clip.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason why I got on Instagram. I don't surf. I don't go through the collective. I don't go through, the whatever the discover page.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm following people that I know.
Yeah.
And that's it. I post a video. I post a video. I may come back to see how many people have watched it. What's doing good, what's not doing good. How many people have liked it. Was this a good topic? Do people like this topic?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll hop the fuck off, because if not, I'm on there for hours just
Right.
looking at people, and I'm just like, dude, this makes me feel like shit because you've got a fantastic body, and I'm
yes,
like,
I get stuck in that too. And I feel like as a fitness professional, it's important for me to stay up to date with what the recent trends and things like that are, because I know I'm going to get asked about them, and I know I feel like I need to have an intelligent response, especially as somebody like I want to propagate a healthy lifestyle.
Right.
So I want to be able to combat the things that people are picking up off the internet with an intelligent argument. But I mean, it gets to me sometimes too. And you know, my mom was a fitness instructor and trainer and general manager of a gym for 18 years. And I'll text her about it and be like, I understand why you got out of the fitness industry eventually, because it could just be soul crushing.
Yeah.
To look at all of the super fantastic, super in shape, like just, and what you don't know is behind a lot of those pictures, there's disordered eating, there's disordered thinking.
Right.
There's all of these things that are going on that you're not seeing. And lately I've seen a lot more posts about, hey, I gained weight to come back to a healthy weight, and that was the best decision I've ever made.
Right.
And I love seeing stuff like that. I want to see more stuff like that, and I think we're getting there. But it is so difficult because there's still, I mean, still 80% of the stuff out there is just fake. It's fake.
Yeah.
Or it's incomplete. It's not the whole story. And I think that if people are going to put their lives out on social media like that, then they need to tell the whole story.
Right.
I think not telling the whole story is doing a disservice both to their followers and to themselves.
Well, thank you
That's
for
what
all that. Yeah. Thank you.
That's what I got.
Well, we are actually right at about an hour.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, Petey.
Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Yeah, we'll have to get you back on because that was a good conversation.
Sounds
I
great.
really appreciate it.
That sounds great. I'm willing to do it anytime. Just let me know.
Yeah. Damn, I just forgot what I was about to say. That's how tired I am. But let me keep you on after I end the stream.
Yeah.
We'll chat for just a little bit longer.
Yep.
But I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and everybody for switching over to YouTube. So thank you. All right, guys. Thanks for daydreaming with us. You have a great evening.
Thanks, everybody.
Evening. Gosh, I can't talk right.